How's it going, Yellow Jacket Nation? Welcome to another episode of Jacket Chats, episode 10. Today I'm joined by Keighton Hatten, the Director of Athletic Development and Revenue Generation. Keighton, how are you today?
I'm great, Bryce. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this week. Now, for those who listen to the podcast consistently, they know that the first question I always like to ask is, why Black Hills State University? We're going to go out of order today because why Black Hills State University, especially in this role for you, is probably a complex question. So we got to know a little bit about your backstory. So your first stint here at Black Hills State was as a student athlete, right? And 1 year as a transfer. What was your student athlete experience like here at Black Hills State?
My student athlete experience was fantastic here at Black Hills State. I started out of high school. I played my first 3 years down at Concordia University in Texas, in Austin, Texas. Had a up and down experience there. I grew a lot being away from home. I was 2,000 miles away from home, so I didn't have a chance to just go home every weekend, so I kind of found myself. But basketball-wise, it wasn't exactly the fit I hoped for. So after my junior year there, I started looking elsewhere, found my way through different avenues up here to Black Hills State, and it couldn't have been a better choice for me. It couldn't have been a better fit for me. I was accepted right away by the team. I already had a couple connections as far as one of the coaches and a couple players I knew. One of them was a good friend of mine, and the experience here was awesome. I mean, the community here at Black Hills State, that as everyone knows that has experienced it, is second to none, and it was something that has really kind of propelled me to where I am today.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you spent one season as an assistant coach here for the Yellow Jackets back in the 2013-14 year. What was that experience like?
That experience was, it was good for my growth. I was kind of trying to decide if I wanted to get into coaching. I knew I wanted to stay around basketball and stay around Black Hills State. And I had the opportunity due to, the head coach there, Brad Schaefer was the head coach at the time, and I'd known him since I was 14 years old. Then, Sam Holden, who was my graduate assistant.
Love Sam.
Sam's
awesome.
Sam is salt of the earth, good people. He was my graduate assistant my senior year in 2008-2009. He had worked his way up to assistant coach. And then Luke Enos, who Yellow Jacket legend, who I played with and is one of my best friends, it was his grad assistant. So it was kind of a great fit for me to get in. And it was during our transition period from NAIA to Division II. So truthfully, we got our butts kicked a lot, but it was a good experience as far as what kind of coach I wanted to be if I was going to coach, the time it takes, the connecting with players, that type of thing. It was great for me to learn about what type of things those took and learned a lot about myself in that.
And then you parlayed that into a stint as the head coach for the Spearfish High School team, right?
I was actually the assistant coach. Luke Enos was the head coach, and he, as soon as he took the job, first thing he did was call me and said, "Hey, I need you." And I was excited to do that. And so I was his assistant, the JV coach and his assistant at the varsity level. I was there for 3 years. And then, between kind of just the different things that go into high school sports, I just realized that high school coaching wasn't for me. Some parents aren't real reasonable, and then I also started having too many kids, man. I had to be a dad also, and the time it takes to go into being a coach and being a good coach and being there for the kids and putting the time that they deserve, I didn't feel like I could do that, and I didn't think it was fair for me to kind of be partially in on that. I needed to be all the way in, and so I didn't think it was fair, so I decided to get out of it at that point.
Fair enough. And so now, why Black Hills State? Why in this role? What drew you to come back and be a part of Black Hills State Athletics?
I'd always been very close to Black Hills State Athletics. From when I played for Sather, then I knew Coach Schaefer, and then I was involved there until he was done. I didn't know Coach Trumbauer beforehand, but I got to know him just by being around. I mean, my family, we live to be at sporting events, baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. We've always supported Black Hills State, even in some of those years where it wasn't the easiest thing to do. And I'd always just been around. And then when Coach Thompson took over, I got a little rapport with him and always supported. And then, when Coach Bresky got hired, I went to college with Coach Bresky. I played at the same time as his wife, Elena. Coach Nori I'd known since I played. Me and him used to work out together after I got done. He got me into CrossFit and stuff like that. So I always had that connection there. And when this job came open, it felt like a no-brainer to me. I'd kind of been looking for something with some stability as far as, beyond the real estate that I was doing, being able to represent, support, help, all those things to Black Hills State, a university and a community that was so good to me. They didn't have to be. I was just another guy. And so the support that I continued to get, even after, just within the community, was something that when this job came open, it was a no-brainer for me to jump at and dive headfirst and go all in for.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to it because you did have a couple of different jobs here in town and in the area. So kind of like, what was your journey back to BH and back to BHSU Athletics? What was that like for you?
It was kind of, it was a lot of finding what, the word passion gets overused a lot, but kind of something that I believed in. I have a journalism degree, mass communication major with a journalism emphasis and graphic design. So what I was doing is right out of college, I got a job as the media coordinator for Prairie Hills Transit. So I was doing marketing, advertising, graphic design, things like that. And I did a lot of cool things for them. And then, after I got done coaching, I started to look more, and that's when I got into real estate. I started selling real estate for Great Peaks Realty. And again, learned a ton about myself. I learned a ton about different ways to work, different ways to sell, and kind of a lot about the community as well. And then, with the way that the market goes, it's a hard job to have a family with, stability to be, when you don't know, it can go month to month. You can have an awesome month, you can have a down month, and it's hard to be a provider when you do that. And so I was starting to look around before this came up, and then when this came up, man, I just couldn't have fit more perfectly for me, in my opinion.
So what is your role? I have a sense of what it is in what you do, but for those who don't, what does the Director of Athletic Development and Revenue Generation do?
So essentially, I'm a fundraiser. My job is to make sure through partnerships, donors, sponsorships, things like that we have enough money to pay for our scholarships. I raise money for all athletic scholarships and partner with BH with the community and surrounding communities with the support of business owners, with individuals, with alumni, all those type of people that feel the same way about BH that I do, that want to support and want to do all the cool things, or want to be a part of all the cool things that BH is doing, especially as we're growing. And my job is to make sure we have the funds to bring the kids in that our coaches want to bring in to get the caliber of athletes that we can to continue to propel BH to the top of the RMAC.
Absolutely. And how do you think that your experience as a student athlete and then as a coach here at Black Hills State has had an impact on your perspective in this role?
I think it's a unique perspective because of the different avenues that I've been a part of BH. I think as a student athlete, I know how valuable it is to have the support, to have the funds, to have the people in the community really respond to what you're doing on the court or the field or whatever it may be as an athlete. And then as in the coaching aspect, I learned more about the financial end of it, where as a student, you don't really know. It's not my job to know how this money's coming in. It's just, hey, it's coming in. So as a coach, I started to get a little bit better of understanding. And so I think as a student athlete, I learned how important it is to have the support and to that you don't have to worry about all the other things, that, hey, the money's there. And then also I learned how amazing the support of the community is. It's beyond your playing career. Like I said, when I got done playing, it never stopped. And it's to this day, it's still infinite support everywhere I go. And so I think that has kind of shaped the importance of how serious I take the job, of how kind of a lifelong thing this could be. A lot of these kids maybe never work for BH, but they'll always feel the support that the community and the university has for them.
That's awesome. And now we'll go back to your playing days a little bit here. You were part of a really good 2008-2009 BH men's basketball team that made it to the NAIA Final Four, right? So what was that season like? What was it like being a part of that postseason run with BH?
It was, gosh, is the word magical too corny to use? Because it was...
No, it worked.
it was magical because we didn't know what we had. We had our starting five was all sophomores that year. They had played a good amount as their freshman year, and then we had 4 seniors off the bench. Myself, AJ Fodness, Aaron Sutton, and Randy Herman. And then we had a couple other guys off the bench, and it was something that... It was special because of our our relationships on and off the court. We started off the year still trying to find ourselves, as most teams do, and we were pretty young. But gosh, when we figured it out, we went on a run middle through the year. I think we went 13-1 in the conference, and we still hold. I still make sure I let the guys know on the team that we still hold the single season wins record with 30. I make sure they know
sneaking up on you. They're catching up every year.
They should have had us last year. Honestly, they gave a couple away, but I make sure I let Joel and Sava and some of those guys know that I still hold that record, or we still hold that record, not me. But the postseason run was pretty special as well. Back then, or the way they did it then, 32 teams went down to Branson, Missouri, and the Final Four, or the championship was held down there. And man, we just kept we eked out our first one against the Cal State East Bay team, and then from there on out, we handled our business pretty well down there. And I think people were starting to shock, even though we were highly ranked because we only had 4 losses at the time. We were just a small school out of South Dakota, and we were playing a lot of teams that if you line them up next to each other, we probably don't look like we have it, but gosh, we had a group that was as together as any group can possibly be, and we saw that with when we were inducted to the Hall of Fame this past October. Our entire team came back. We had everybody come back, and guys had been Arizona, Montana. One guy's a sheriff in Montana. We have teachers and counselors and chiropractors, and everybody found a way to make it happen because we were always there for each other, and we've stayed close since. And gosh, it was reminded during Hall of Fame weekend how special that group was as we got back together, and it was right back to how it always had been.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You and that team were inducted into the Athletics Hall of Fame. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. We had been talking for a while about how long it was going to take because we knew what kind of team we were to the university. And like I said, that's the type of support that I've gotten since, is everyone remembers that team and that run. But that weekend was a special weekend because a lot of those guys, besides, when we got married, that's the last time a lot of us have been together. And that's 6, 8, 10 years that any of us had been together besides, 2 or 3 of us here and there. So getting everyone together was, it went right back to how it used to be. It was amazing seeing everybody, how they'd grown, their families, meet their spouses that we hadn't met yet, but really get back together and just have so many laughs and a whole lot of fun that I'm getting too old to have that much fun anymore.
Yeah, you find a lot with, when you're part of a team, and especially like a successful team like that one, like those bonds, they last, right? So that definitely makes sense. And now on that, 08-09 team, you won the Tom and Joan Finn Award that season. What is that? What does that mean to you?
So that was a Tom and Joan Finn, big supporters of Black Hills State basketball, Black Hills State athletics in general, but Black Hills State basketball. And it was an award that was voted on by the team. And the way it was described when we voted is for lack of better words, I don't remember the exact words. Lack of better words was the best teammate, I guess, is somebody who was always had good attitude, always good perspective, was there for the team, would do whatever it took for the team. And I won that award, and that meant a lot to me because that's something I've always taken a lot of pride in. I could play, I could shoot it. I had my limitations, obviously, but I always thought that no matter what, something I learned early on was 3 letters was AHW, and that stands for attitude and hard work. And those are the only things that you have full control over. You don't have control over referees making calls. Sometimes the ball bounces in and out. If you chase those, you can have a lot of ups and downs, but you always have control over your attitude and how hard you work. And I think that goes into being a good teammate, having a good attitude every day, busting my butt, doing what was asked of me for the best of the team. And that's something that I took a lot of pride in. And so for my teammates to acknowledge that, see that was something that I was bringing to the team every day, was something that meant a lot to me because I always strive to be a good teammate. As everyone can be, work hard and be a good player, but I always strive to be a good teammate that my teammates recognized mattered to the success of our team.
That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely shines through here in your time here at Black Hills State. As a part of our administrative team here, it has been evident that team player kind of mentality that you've got.
I appreciate that.
And now, having been a former player, and then, like you mentioned, one of the assistant coaches in that transition year, 13-14, moving up to D2, seeing the success of the men's basketball program the past 2 years, does it mean a little bit extra to you? Like, seeing that, hey, we started building this. We're a part of this success in one way, shape, or form.
It is a weird type of excitement I get because, like I said, I have nothing to do with the on-court product. I have no wins, losses. That has nothing to do with me right now, especially before I had this job. But the kind of feelings I get watching them in the past few years, watching what Coach Thompson had started to build, even before the 2 Final Four runs, you could see it. There were some years that I would come watch, but it wasn't super enjoyable to watch. It wasn't a great product to watch as a basketball nerd, the way my brain works in that sense. It wasn't wins and losses, to the side, just the product that was on there. And to see what he's done, the type of kids he recruits, they're awesome kids. They're great players. You can tell that they're coachable, and what he's done there, I don't know that our group started it, but I think we kind of showed what's possible in this kind of, especially in this pocket of South Dakota that we have, what's possible at the national level. All of our kids that we had it was all Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota kids. That was everybody we had. I think we had one Montana kid as well. So you didn't have to go, sure, going and recruiting a Kalen Hearn from Oklahoma and stuff like that. That can, and Hoku from that area as well. That can help, but there's also plenty around here that you can do. So watching the team be successful, my friendship with Coach Thompson, that's always going to be factored into it because of how supportive he's always been of just me, just personally. I used to be able to stop into his office and he'd chat with me for 15 minutes, and he didn't owe me any of that, but it's really, really fun to watch the success. It's fun to watch the community again. I was talking to Kristen, who back when she was playing volleyball, Kristen Carmichael, she was here when I was here, and she was like, I remember during one of the tournament games, she was like, this feels like 2009 again. And I was like, it's amazing. It's fantastic to see the bleachers get filled up, the support, the excitement for Black Hills Athletics. It's awesome to see it again, and I take a lot of pride in being a Yellow Jacket in that.
Yeah, that's something that really impressed me from day one that I got here, is the support and the engagement from the community in the success of BH Athletics and the teams within it. So what's it like kind of being on this side of the aisle, not being in the stands as a fan, but being a part of the product that we're putting out?
I think one thing that doesn't go even on the administrative side of it, I'm still a fan. I just had a ref the other day. I was sitting next to Sean on the floor and taking care of my duties, and I was watching the game. I got excited and I said something, and he turned around and looked at me, and I said, "I'm sorry, man. The hooper in me I just blurred out stuff. I'm sorry. I thought And so the fan,
we all sometimes have that happen, every once in a while.
And I'm okay. Yeah, right. And I'm okay. And we'll never hide my fandom. I'm going to support BH, and I'm going to be on the front lines as much as I can. But on this side of it, it's really fun to see how many people want to be supportive of it. Nobody's, I have a lot of people calling me about wanting to support Black Hills State. A lot of people finding me, and especially when I first got the job, with those first couple weeks after it was announced, I couldn't go anywhere. And again, I'm a nobody, really. I've been around the community for the last 15 years. I never left, stuff like that. But gosh, the amount of handshakes, congratulations, excited for me, excited for BH, that was surprising to me. People really care about this university, and it's always going to be easier to support a winner. That's just at every level, every school, every sport. It's easier to support a winner. But man, it's exciting to see how many people want to help get the product to there it is. How many people want to help Coach Bresky? How many want to help Thompson, help Coach Norrie, help the softball coaches, help. It's insane to me to see how many people in different varieties. Some of them are alumni and some of them aren't. Some of them are just community members. They're transplants, but they want to find somebody to support. And gosh, a high-level Division II athletics, that's a fun thing to support when you feel this connected to it. It's not 35,000 kids. You can walk to Safeway and run into Joel Scott, and you can run into Matthew Ragsdale, and you can run into our kickers and our punters, and everybody knows everybody, and it's amazing to see the desire to support this university.
Yeah, you and I play men's softball here in town over the summer. I didn't know who you are over the summer until we met in this role, but I don't know if it was the same day as you played. I can't remember if Monday, Tuesday nights, but I would play Derek Webster. He was playing for one of the other teams, and he hits tanks, by the way.
He sure does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with Kelby Olsen.
Yeah.
Kelby.
Yeah.
I coached against Kelby when he was at Belle-Fourche, actually playing for Clay Potter, also a member of the 08-09 NAI or Final Four team. And same thing. Hits nukes. Just insane.
Yeah, the good thing about Derek is you can predict exactly where he's going to hit it, though. It's pretty awesome.
It's always going to be really high, though. Whether it's far enough,
high,
but he's gonna make solid contact.
Right
though.
In that left center field gap. But back on task, being in this role for a couple months now, what do you enjoy most about it? What are your impressions about being on kind of this side of the tracks of the on the administrative side of collegiate athletics now?
I think on this side, I enjoy the most doing something that I believe in. Not that I didn't believe in real estate, but I've talked to some other people before after I got the job. I was I could go sell insurance. I could go do things that, sure, they put food on the table and they're able to buy my kids clothes and stuff. I could find stuff to do that I care about less. But this is something I truly believe in. Something I'm excited about, something that I've, like you said, as a player and as a coach, I've been on the other side of understanding what it means as far as future growth, what Black Hills State can propel you to do on the academic side, and then what athletics combined with the academics can really do for you. I think being on this side of it, it's nice to have something I believe in that I'm really, like I said, passion's overrated, but it's something that's really, really cool, and it's something that, everyone, the line of you find something you love, you never work a day in your life. I think that's BS because nobody wants to go to work. But when I don't have to pry myself out of a job, I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's like, oh, okay, here's something I get to go do. Now, if I could sit at home and go play catch with my kids all day long, I would absolutely do that, and if I could get paid to do that. But I can't. This is the next best thing because I get to do something that I believe in, I support, that I'm really excited about, and I get to feel like I'm making a difference of something I believe in. I think that I can help. Like I said, Black Hills State is on this amazing upward trajectory within the RMAC. And you can see it coming with some of these other sports. You can see what Coach Bresky's doing, what Norrie's been doing for 20 years, what Thompson's been doing for the last 5 years. And these other sports are coming. We're working on it, and we're getting the right people in line to get us moving in that direction. And gosh, to be able to feel like I'm making a difference in that, to feel like I'm helping in some way of that, and the community support, gosh, that's something that you can't put a price on that.
I couldn't have said any better than that. You can't put a price on how rewarding this line of work is. It's making an impact on young people and having an impact on their collegiate experience. It is something that, it is so rewarding. With the changes that have been going on in BH athletics of late, it's been a long fall. I know in my role, but to see the impact that it's having on these young people, it makes it all worth it.
Absolutely.
So, what are your goals in this role moving forward?
Continue, like I said, on that upward trajectory to bring something different, to bring something new. In my position, to find new ways to engage the community. Like I said, the community wants to support something. They want to be out there. You see it at the high school. My oldest son is just a freshman in high school, and you can see the support. The football team, their football team's starting to make strides. Their basketball team's going the right direction, and the community wants to support it. It's no different than Black Hills State. People want to support it because it's so close to them. So like I said, some alumni, some not, but we're reach out and touch them. We're at a small community. This is the biggest thing that we have, especially during this time of year. It's the main thing. And so my goal is to continue to reach the community, to get young people involved, to get more people my age involved. We're in as far as partnerships, donors, things like that. There's a lot of people now that we're starting to get more settled and solidified in our careers. In my age that we can start giving back to BH. That's kind of my goal, is to take what I inherited and make it bigger, better, and leave it better, and each year make it better.
Any events that are coming up that you would like Yellow Jacket Nation to be aware of?
Oh man, we got golf tournaments coming up, and we're revamping those. I've talked to some of the people who have been at the ones, especially the local ones. You know, the Arizona one, Arizona Fire Rock. That's kind of what it is, and that's great where it is. Sutton Bay is great where it is. Devil's Tower, we're going to do a little bit more with, but the Yellow Jacket Classic specifically, I haven't played it in the last couple of years, but I've been told that it's not going in the right direction, and we're changing that. We're making it an event again. We're going to make it fun for all ages. We obviously will have the Gold Rush, which is a massive moneymaker for athletics. That'll be April 19th. But then everything else, I mean, every schedule on there, I will be out there promoting and supporting, because we want these kids to feel the type of things that I felt, the type of support that I felt. I want to make sure all these players feel that they have the ability to perform in front of the community and show what BH is all about to the people that may not know, or make the people who do know, make alumni, make us all proud, make us all excited again. And we're heading that direction. And so my goal is to continue that and nothing but upward here.
I look forward to seeing what we're able to do together here in BH Athletics. We're going to roll into some rapid-fire questions. You ready?
Deal.
What is your favorite holiday tradition?
Oh, Christmas. We do Christmas Eve. We go out to my wife's families. We open up some on my in-laws out at the ranch, open up some, but then mine, which was when I was a kid, it was my tradition, and then we pass it down, is we come to our house, we open up one gift. It's always pajamas. We throw on our pajamas, put on a Christmas movie, and hit the hay, and then wait for Christmas morning.
That's pretty nifty. I like that.
It's a good one. I stole it from my mom, so shit, that's how we move.
I might steal that when I have kids.
There we go.
What's your favorite place to eat in Spearfish?
God, every time we talk about when I go out to eat with my friends, Luke Enos, we will go out to lunch every now and then. I've never had a bad meal at the stadium, man. I've never had a bad meal at the stadium.
So good.
It's amazing. I actually, I met my wife there. She was my server, my waitress when I was there. That's how I met her, and it's never let me down since.
Yeah, John and Claire do a great job down there. Yeah,
legends.
They're awesome. If you could have competed in any other collegiate sport, what would it have been?
Man, probably baseball. Even though BH doesn't have baseball, I'd have been a baseball guy. I don't have the frame for a football player. I'm just tall and skinny. I'm a twig, man. I don't think I had the frame to be a football player. It'd have been baseball. I grew up a baseball player. I was a baseball player before I was a basketball player, so it would have been baseball 100%. Especially, and now I get to live those, like you said, vicariously through a little adult drunk beer league softball. I get to do that a little bit.
Yeah, It's pretty fun. It's a good time. Great. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun to be a part of here in town. Did you have any game day traditions or superstitions? And if not, what was the weirdest one that you saw?
I didn't necessarily have a regular superstition. It kind of went back on the previous game. So if I wore, sometimes I'd wear sleeves under my jersey. Sometimes I'd go sleeveless. Sometimes I'd wear white socks. Sometimes I'd wear stuff like that. If we won the game before, I did the same thing. If we lost the game before, I was changing it up. That was kind of how I did it. And so it wasn't like a pregame meal, anything like that. A weird one that I do remember was from high school. We were the number one team in the state of Colorado. I think we were 18, 19-0, something like that. And early on in the season, somehow, I don't even remember how it started, but somehow someone showed up with Oreos, someone showed up with milk, and then we put on, this can sound weird, we put on John Mayer, Your Body is a Wonderland, and we sat there and ate Oreos to it, and we went on, like I said, we went on a run of 18 in a row, so it was, somebody brought Oreos, somebody brought milk, somebody brought the John Mayer CD, and we ran through the state of Colorado.
If it works, it works.
I wasn't good. That's, again, if it worked the game before, I'm going to keep doing it. It never didn't work. Until somebody threw in a half-court shot on us in overtime. That's the only time it didn't work.
Ooh, that's a tough way to
it hurt.
Have it end. Yeah, not a lot of mixing it up that 08 and 09 season, I guess.
No, we're not on that run. Yes,
sleeves and whatnot. And what is one thing that most people do not know about you?
I'm a pretty open book, man. Most people don't know I was born in Alaska. I was born in Anchorage, Alaska. So I only lived there for a couple years. I moved down to the Fort Collins area, down to Windsor, but I was born in Anchorage, Alaska, lived in Wasilla, which if you're from the Anchorage area, apparently the Wasilla people you kind of look down on. So I try not to mention that one a lot, but yeah, I was born in Anchorage, Alaska.
Native Alaskan. That's very interesting.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Keighton, this was awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Until next time. Before I get off, we're going to take a couple weeks off with Jacket Chats. I'm heading home. I'm heading back east for a couple weeks here, Jacket Nation. So we will be back in the new year with our next episode of Jacket Chats. Until then, have a great holiday season. Have a great new year. And I'll talk to you in 2024. Until next time, I'm your host, Bryce Johnson, for Jacket Chats.